Good Friday morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. Welcome. The weekend is upon us. Make sure you carry an umbrella with you if you've got to be anywhere after 3 o'clock this afternoon. It looks like it could be a wet one for us as we watch radar as rain will most likely come. Heavy today and into tonight. So it will be one of those. Pretty good the first part of the day, but it will move in later. So be prepared if you've got something to do outside. Make sure to handle that. How are you? I hope very well. We're starting today off at 70 right now and a fair sky. Yes, it all comes about. Well, as we begin today, let's start talking about a few things that have gone on in the area lately. We did have a report of shots fired last night. Again, this was no damage reported with this, but we share what we know at this point. And as we go here, this would have been North Hills. Actually, I messed up my map that I had. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive is where we had shots reported last night. No one hurt, no one injured in that. That is the only report that I got overnight of any shots fired. Again, no injury or damage. That's good news. I did have a report of a wreck on North Hill Street overnight, single car accident that happened along about here as you'll pass North Crest Baptist Church, and right before you get to King Road, there was a wreck there last night. Those happen a lot. A little curvy through that area there. If you saw the lights and sirens, that's what was going on last night. So nothing major with that. Here was the map on that of what I had of where I posted that. I just got misplaced. Here's where the shots were fired last night. Martin Luther King there, and also Valley Street. Again, no damage, injuries, but I thought we would share that with you as well. As we came across, we mentioned there were several break-ins last weekend during the long Labor Day weekend. Some of those we got, some of those we didn't. I found out about another one yesterday as we came, and let me pull this up where you can see this. I spoke with the owner. This is 17th Avenue. Right in behind here is the 18th Avenue red light that goes over the bridge. This is B Street where his business is located there. Just a bad situation there. As we click on the story here, you follow this and you go over to sammedia.network. As we get into this, this is Riley Screen and Window. Took every single tool they had, even those that were mounted to benches and to the area there. They took everything they had in order to make a living. It's bad. And I listed on here, this happened in Ward 5. This is Tybell Lindsay's. And if you'd like to send your voice about how crime is in your area, here's a link here in this story here to your city councilman and Tybell's email address. You can reach her there. But as always, we hate to see this happen, especially taking a man's tools of what they make to make a living. But that happened. Sad day. We see more and more of this. The big news that comes out of Meridian yesterday is an arrest that happened. The Meridian Police Department has made an arrest. I want you to look at this. Let's pull this up. We go back to Sam Media also as well. Let's get a clear picture of this. Do y'all remember the little boy that was killed, a 5-year-old young man in his home while he was in his bed? Well, they've arrested these two, Brandon and Daniel Reed. I assume them to be brothers. As we get a good look at them, this is who they are. The U.S. Marshals were in town, and they did make an arrest. Horrible, horrible that a child lost his life in our city limits. Now, these two are accused. They will go to court and stand trial for this. This happened back in August, a little over a year ago, roughly 13 months at this point. In August of 21 is when that murder happened. It took a year to solve that. They're being charged with second-degree murder. Could there be more? Possibly could. Their bond is set at $1 million. It is great that an arrest has been made in this, and I think the whole town feels this way about this arrest. Horrible, horrible. Also, the U.S. Marshals assisted with this as well yesterday. As we pull this up from the Meridian Police Department, Mr. Lumpkin was arrested also by the Gulf Coast Region Marshal Task Force here in Meridian. He was a fugitive from justice on capital murder warrant out of Jefferson County, Alabama. He's been captured, visiting folks in Meridian. He's going to be extradited back. A good deed done by all the different agencies in Meridian as they gathered water. The Meridian Police Department loaded this stuff up yesterday. Lima took it over to Jackson, Mississippi. As we look at a few of these pictures, as they delivered water that was collected from the Meridian area to take over. A good thing. Glad they did that. It helps a lot of people in need in the Jackson, Mississippi area. I know Clark County has been collecting, and I know Kemper County also has been collecting water to take to the Mississippi capital. It's good news. We're glad of that. We also found out yesterday morning we were talking heavily about what was going on at NAS Meridian as we pulled the story back up from NAS Meridian, where the young man had barricaded himself in a building there. Law enforcement told us that he was there. He left a cell phone behind. He would be later arrested after, what was that, 12, 13-hour standoff. They finally kicked the door and no one was there. He was arrested later yesterday in Tallahassee, Florida. He'd made some time, hadn't he? He's in jail now. He'll face several charges. It all stemmed from a stolen car, and now all these different charges. I would even think that if you were employed by the base and you left without notifying, that would almost be charges of AWOL, would it not? I would think. But we'll wait and see what the charges end up being. As we go toward Jackson, Mississippi, Hinds County, we send out prayers as we find out on Highway 18 yesterday morning at around 6:28 in the morning. Someone was riding their bike. They were struck by a bicycle. They are fighting for their life now at a hospital in Jackson. We do send out prayers for them and hope that a recovery happens. We don't know what caused it, but we do know there was a wreck yesterday that involved a car versus a bicycle, and they are in critical condition in the Jackson, Mississippi area there in Hinds County. Also, I don't know if you are aware of this, Capitol Police, every now and then they get into a chase, and they did that this week. They had someone in the area that didn't have a tag, and they pursued him. The guy ran from him. He would end up wrecking into an embankment. It ended up being a stolen vehicle. He had stolen converters, and he had stolen pistols in the truck with him. He would die at the scene. It's under investigation, but sure did have a lot to run from, didn't he? This is sad news. I hate to even have to tell this, and I put it in the comments of what we have as we see another piece that Mississippi really needed. Our burn center is closing in October. Isn't that horrible? You will now have to be either taken to Memphis or you'll have to be taken to Mobile, but the burn center are in Georgia. The one in Jackson is going to be closing due to the fact after COVID, they just really couldn't recruit anyone, the specialists that they needed to keep the facility going to give the care that was needed. So in light of all of that, the burn center is closing down. That's awful. We need things like that in Mississippi. We hate to see anything leave our state that is a service to our community. But that is happening. And again, it looks to be October the 14th is when that will shut down. Hate to even tell you that. Laura Lee, how are you today there? Glad to see you're up and going at them. Well, we got somebody that's being arrested in Oxford. Always know who your bookkeeper is, who has your hands on your money. As a sorority, well, this is going to get deep. She's 75 years old. Betty Jane Cattle has been arrested and going to be sentenced for diverting money from the Delta Omega Chapter House Corporation for the Kappa Delta sorority. It's a lot of money involved in this. Says she transferred, I think it's right at $1 million. It's a lot of money on this. $2.9 million. As I go back and check my notes on this, sentencing will begin at a later date. $2.9 million. That's a lot. The Mississippi Airport Association has been meeting this week. And it's being held in Starkville as they discuss the matters that happened at Tupelo. We hope they come up with a solution for that. As they said, one of the biggest problems is allowing private aircraft owners access to their planes. Last I remember, this guy worked for the airport that did that. Just thinking out loud. Just thinking. We do see that Mississippi Today pulls up another story this week as we go back to the scandal in Mississippi that's plagued us over the welfare fraud. And today they bring up Brett Favre. And they say during an interview, and Brett even said this, that FBI, when he interviewed him, they asked him one question. One question, that's all. Have you ever been to Tupelo? I think Brett replied, well, when I was 9, my dad took me there. And what they were getting at was, did you ever go to Tupelo for a speaking engagement? Is why they asked that. but that's back in the news today. He did return the $1 million. Shad still wants his money back for the investigation side of it. Brett Favre has not paid that as the scandal continues and goes all the way to the governor's mansion and former governor. Maybe one day we'll get a clear answer for everything that came about with all of this. Hopefully we will. As we go to Louisville, Family Dollar store got robbed up there. They're looking for the suspects. He did rob them with a gun. Fortunately, no one was hurt. This happened on September the 4th at 9:30, in between 9:30 and 10 that night. Awful, awful. We also, I read, I think it was Magnolia State, reported the story of Louisville, Mississippi. I read where they've arrested a couple, parents of a child. They say possibly one of the worst cases of child abuse they've ever seen. The child, 8-month-old boy, was suffering from severe burns. The parents have been arrested and escorted to jail. One of the worst cases. That's in Louisville. That's a shame. We'll see what becomes of that after this heads to court, and we'll report back on that to you when we find out more about that. We do see where a Biloxi man, as we look across the state of other stories that are happening this morning, is going to be sentenced to 4 years in jail for possession of intent to distribute fentanyl. Stuff must be pretty serious. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it seems to be the rave of everyone that's associated with drugs these days. Fentanyl must be very powerful. You see a lot of people going to jail for that. And again, I'm not educated a lot on drugs. I don't know a whole lot about them. This is a story that comes out, and I know from talking to people it is an issue. And I even saw one in a national scene a few weeks ago to where a family sued a sheriff's department because they had a mentally ill patient that had to stay in jail. They were supposed to go to a mental hospital, but there were no beds in the hospital. They say on average in Mississippi there's about 25 mentally ill people waiting in jail to go to a hospital bed. It's not the sheriff's department's fault. I don't know whose fault it is or what the solution is, but the beds are full and it doesn't look like they're adding any more. There does need to be assistance there. It's more of that in our communities than we really realize. It would shock you, I think, if we knew the truth of just how much mental illness is out there that ties in with crimes and bad things that go on. I noticed that someone mentioned just a moment ago, Donna, as you did, as you said, rest in peace to the Queen. Queen Elizabeth passed away. One of the big stories there. I did read this week where back in 1968 to 1971, where the Queen did own a small piece of Mississippi. I was not aware of that. She had invested in a group that bought a 38,000 acre farm, and it was more or less a farm, sharecropper farm. She sold out in 1971 her shares of it. She never stepped foot on the place, but interesting to know that she did own a little bit of Mississippi. And we do pass condolences over that, and I'm sure by now everybody's seen the rainbow that appeared above, the picture that was snapped there in London. Beautiful picture there. She will be greatly missed. And I'm sure by now you've seen all of the comments. We'll talk more about this at beginning this morning at 8 a.m. of those that took to Twitter and different forms of media to run her down. So shameful to do something like that, even if it's your worst enemy. Let them rest in peace. Let there be a day without doing that. At least that's my thoughts on that. She didn't hurt those people. They just want to pick a fight. As we look around, let's see, a Mississippi woman has died in a wreck with a Mississippi State Trooper. How horrible this could be. Basically, it happened. She pulled out in front of a state trooper on County Road 512, just south of Corniff. This would be up all the way in the northern portion of Mississippi. She just didn't see it coming and pulled out in front of him and made contact with the state trooper. We pass condolences to her family as we see this. Also, Mississippi, Jefferson Davis County, which is south of the Meridian area, they have found a body in the middle of the road. They have no clue who it is. Some oil workers came across. There's a white male laying in the middle of a gravel road. They called authorities. He's been taken for an autopsy, and they're trying to figure out who he is. Things that go on in our state that you just weren't aware of. Whew, let's see. We go to Natchez. I see where they've made an arrest where somebody broke into a car dealership. They stole 3 cars. Then they thought it was a great idea to go drag race them. Yeah, they got them all. They're headed to the jailhouse now. Juveniles on top of all that. Now, I did post this last night. Memphis, Tennessee, not all that far from us. Of course, the home of Elvis. A lot of great things have come out of there. And the last few weeks, it has been devastating news as we watch this. They had the run this morning at 4 o'clock here in our area for the young lady that never made it home. The Memphis Police Department put this bolo out last night, and I shared it as we pull this up for you. This is straight from the Memphis Police Department. These young men were riding around threatening people more or less along the lines of what the guy did live, Facebook, threatening to harm people in the area. And they put that out. Hopefully, they'll make an arrest soon of this. I hope this does not become the next TikTok thing to where people around the United States just randomly take harm on others. If you know where I'm going with that story. It's horrible that we live in a society that people think that that's okay. And that guy that did that the other night, just smiling as he was arrested and cuffed and stuffed. Of course, that was Memphis as well. You would almost think this could be a copycat. To my knowledge, no one was hurt on that so far, but they did make threats there. Tucker Carlson, as we brought up, the Queen, took up for her last night of those that were running her down on social media. He said it wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is it? We shouldn't pick on people like that. We sure hate that. I bring this up occasionally of things that's happened as we've watched Sacramento, places across our nation as homeless fill the streets. I even saw in one neighborhood, it was in California, where people are just having to sell out because they can't get them off the sidewalks. But this is the first case I've seen this. Now, you have to remember, these are largely run where cities lean to the left, where it's not down the middle of conservative views or family values. Speculation, you may see that differently than I. But as these sidewalks get filled up, you can't use them anymore. There's needles, there's all types of things laying in the street that children don't need to see or touch. But for the first time, a city Portland, Oregon, is getting sued. Why? By people in wheelchairs. They're claiming it violates the American with Disabilities Act. Why? Because they can no longer make it down a sidewalk in the city. They can't. They'd have to get in the road because these encampments, camped out in front of homes, in front of stores, we've got a problem. And it seems that nobody wants to stand up and handle it. There's more and more of this we see each day in these growing cities. And it's getting to where no one really wants to take a vacation and go to these large cities anymore. It's definitely a problem as we look as to what's going on. More on the way as we begin your morning. It is Friday. The weekend is here. We're going to look at that forecast and just find out how wet it's going to be. All that's up and coming. We'll be back next with more to follow.
The Square Peg Mini Mall, located across from the Neshoba County Co-op in Philadelphia, Mississippi, is a family-owned business that promises to treat you like family. The Square Peg Mini Mall has been operating for over 10 years and boasts over 30 vendors with a rotating inventory to fit that something you're looking for. Inventory is constantly updating, so there's always a chance for a surprise when you step inside. Come visit the Square Peg Mini Mall, located on 335 West Main Street in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're building it, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group.
Meridian Honda radar already indicating that Pensacola, Florida, look at that, already got some serious rain moving into the area. We've got some off the coast of Biloxi there. So far as we move into Mississippi on land, not really any showers yet. Expect this to move in later today after 3 o'clock, thunderstorms, as we put this in motion to kind of show you how this storm is going to be moving in a little bit later on today, and it will come. There you go as it moves to the northeast across the area there. Charleston, South Carolina, seeing rain already. Savannah getting a little bit this morning. No fog to mention in the state of Mississippi or Alabama, but we do have it heavily as you get up northeast of Charleston, West Virginia, Winchester, those areas there. Oh boy, look at this as we get up in New York. Lots of it. Jamestown, thick fog today as we'll come across the northern portion of the United States. A lot of rain up in the north part there. Minneapolis getting rain as we come down to the south. Texas looks good at the moment. That's a brief overview of that, and we'll come back and look at what's happening with the tropics here in just a moment. Find out how serious that is. We got 2 more storms that are trying to develop. Will they stay away? Let's hope so. But all that's in the work. All right, let's get into what the National Weather Service has to tell us.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
We go back for our record highs and record lows. 1990, a record high of 102 degrees on this date. It was 2011 that we saw 51 for our low. Wow. As we move ahead to look at today, this is what we're expecting here. This is going to make it all the way to 82 or 83 for our area with heavy rain here later in the afternoon. Be ready for that. Hattiesburg, you'll see some of this as well. As we jump across that state line into Alabama, 83 in Tuscaloosa, 81 in Demopolis Town. We'll see about 82 there in Livingston, Alabama as well, as they expect rain for the afternoon as well. As we come across, warming up just a little bit for this time of year as we see this. A cold, cool front way back in California will eventually make its way across. All right, let's look at our 7-day outlook. Brought to by our friends at Wilson Saw and Outdoor. As we pull up the forecast to take a sneak peek of what we've got going on over the next little bit, an 80% chance of thunderstorms today, likely after 3 o'clock. And again, 82 to 83 is going to be the high. Tonight, that 80% chance of rain still lingers, should end by 9 o'clock tonight. So expect it between 3 and 9. Low will make it to 69 to 70 in that outlay. As we roll into Saturday morning, 70% chance of showers is what we're expecting. This should be after lunch sometime. We'll get a break there from the early morning hours to about 1 in the afternoon. High only making it to 85 tomorrow also. As we go into Saturday night, down to a 20% chance of showers. And then Sunday, we've got a 40% chance. A little bit warmer with a high of 86. By Monday, rain starts tapering off with a 20% chance. And look at that. Nice weather as we see no rain for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with highs getting all the way back up to 87. Almost like good weather, isn't it? Grass will grow after all of this. As we look ahead, let's go all the way to September the 23rd. We'll maintain highs mid-80s, 87-ish, not making it to the 90s at all. Mostly sunny skies for the most part. We do have a couple of days there on the 19th and then on the 23rd that have greater chances of rain. For the most part, it's looking pretty good there for a while. As we head into that first part of the end of September and get ready for deer season, tractors are going to be rolling in a few weeks here as we get ready for deer season. Not long off, is it? Now, as we mentioned the tropics, what's going on with this? Danielle is no longer a threat, but we still have Earl. Earl is a Category 2 and will most likely grab a little bit more of attention before he's done. Running at 98 miles an hour this morning, moving north-northeast at 17 miles an hour. Now, we've got 2 systems that are off the coast of Africa that we're looking at. A 20% chance of this one forming and a 40% chance on this storm. Now, let's go back over to radar and pull this up where we can take a look here. And let's turn on some spaghetti models here and look at what we've got. This is the 40% chance. And fortunately, as we pull up this, here we go. Here's Earl sitting here this morning. And that is his direction. It will stay away from land. Category 2, we do expect it to stay at a 2. At one time, Earl was going to be a 4, and they're downgraded that now. He does have wind speed 98, 121 mile an hour gust. But as we'll see this one I thought could be an issue. It will turn right. We haven't gotten models on that second storm that's only at a 20% chance, but we'll watch that. No threat to the Gulf yet. Good news, isn't it? It is. We'll take that any day of the week with no damage. And Mississippi, Alabama coast, along with Louisiana, all safe at the moment. We hope it stays that way. As we turn to look, see what our fishing calendar looks like, Chet's Paint and Body comes to the rescue to let us know that a major time happened overnight. The best time today will be this afternoon, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and it's not the greatest chance there. Well, good luck with you fishermen. Y'all all know what you like to do. The wind's going to be east, 5 to 10 miles an hour if you've got to be out. If you're doing any type of burning or you're going fishing, that's kind of important, isn't it? It is. All right, we'll be back in an hour and 4 minutes as we prepare for the next show. I hope you'll be here and be a whole part of this. We love having you and your comments of what happens in our area, and we get a lot of tips from you. Thank you so much. Big thank you to each one of you. To Corey, good morning. I see you're up there. Terry Ray's up. Sandy Johnson, morning. Nothing better's there. Lamar Hembry. Cindy Lee, how are you doing? Good morning from Columbus, Mississippi. Hope all is well there. Beautiful town. Let's see here. Also, I see Lonnie Timms. How are you? Y'all be good, and we'll be back in just a little over an hour as Candace will join me as we'll go live right here at Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, also YouTube, all those areas there. Have a second backup as always, and we'll also be on television beginning at 8 a.m. on Fox 30. All heading your way this morning. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you soon.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.